As every simulated creational experience is based on the principles of cause and effect, so nothing can we experience without the ideas we decide to consciousness install, ideas we either have created or as created by others we then agree with. Every being in a particular simulator will have as part of their consciousness the ideas the simulator comprises of, the overall design and multi-dimensional layout, that the participants can experience then the chosen simulator, and which will then serve as an overall arena or stadium where any being within is potentially accessible to any other through a virtue of the same ideas that are their consciousness, the simulator template. For if ideas are shared, so must be what is effected from them. Just like a computer game, all wishing to participate will upload to their computers the same overall game template, rendering all other participants accessible, and then, just as it is in creation, each individual then proceeds to generate their own effects through the unique choices and agreements they make, where accessibility can then become lessened or made more so through what is exacted from the choices. If I build myself a tower and reside in a difficult-to-reach area of creation, yes, I am still within the overall simulator, as all others will be, but have made myself far less accessible, etc. Accessibility then stems from the agreements we have with others that ease their ability to engage with us. For as agreements diverge, so will creational positioning, and there is a markable difference between our ability to engage with our next-door neighbours than an alien from another galaxy. Of course, these would be geographical and spatial limitations that are effected as the physical level through the design of the consciousness. But where it comes to the real side, the multi-dimensions of creation, so these limitations will not present as that which lessens accessibility, what with everything the instant effects of itself on the real side and in reality. On the real side, what dictates instant accessibility then are the agreements we have with other beings and body types, for as we hold to the idea that is the body form and consciousness of another, we retain the effect that is the individual, the ability of the individual to at any moment of their choosing feature in our experiences. If we have association, agreement, with certain created spiritual paths or religions as examples, then naturally agreement is extended to all in association with such, as these then would be shared ideas between all involved, a kind of collective consciousness, an idea package where all that choose these various paths and religions incorporate the ideas of the path or religion itself and those in affiliation with it, regardless of whenever in so-called time all participants had become involved with such. If the religions, as an example, were conceived many thousands, if not millions of years ago, and we are then holding open agreement doors to all who had ever chosen the religions we also are electing to embrace, and at this moment, as everything was either created or has become taken over by the dark force reptilians, we also then extend agreements to the reptilians, that they also can at any time feature in our experiences. Eckankar would be one such example, from a sincere and a true reality representing and referencing idea to what it has become, from Paul's day to it being dark force infected with Reptilian Harry and Joanee at the wheel, and with affiliation with Eckankar, so the agreement is extended to all involved, including the Reptilians and Reptilian, Joanee and Harry, and enabling them to feature in the real side experiences. That all those who were associated with Eckankar, those that recognise the distortion it has become, on leaving the corporation and instead singing the new you, the now established connection to the true light isness reality and the real guides, they can expect to be hounded, intimidated and attacked by Reptilian, Joanee and Harold on the real side. For all the agreements we have ever established will be maintained until they are faced and released. Those we established even millions of lifetimes ago will still allow individuals in association with these agreements to be able to then feature in our current lifetime of real side experiences. Through the process of awareness, so are these agreements and attachments gradually released, but until they are, these various individuals from all the religious, spiritual paths, whatever the idea creations were that we ever involved ourselves with since we first entered the simulator, will be able to at any moment enter our experiences. And when we do release these agreements on the real side, then they now can only enter our presence if we consciously decide that they can. Since I have never had any association with Eckankar, so I will lack such agreements which allow the influx of Reptilian, Joanee and Harry into my real side experiences, unless, as I said, through my conscious decision to do so. And a conscious agreement can be established, if even fleeting, through where we place our attention, what claims our focus, etc., and momentary these agreements may be, in that we don't then hold to them, but a momentary open door they then provide, and we can be shown on the real side what momentary agreement doors we have opened by the beings now able to encroach into our experiential arena. For just prior to this real side experience, I had been creating on the physical a video that emphasizes overall the tap-lining and controlling intents that Joanee and Harold actually harbour, the dragnet skit, and this would then serve as a temporary agreement door by which these two characters could enter my real side experience through the focus I had placed with the ideas that the video incorporated, which included the ideas of Joanee and Harold. For on the real side I would be positioned in a random earth-based street, the location undisclosed, as it really wasn't a relevant detail then for the personal self to be made aware of. Cruising up and down the street would be Harold Klemp and Joanee in a sinister black car, as though they were looking for somebody. Naturally, Joanee would be at the wheel, for she holds the strings of the puppet that is Harold. But even from a representational perspective, as cars, vehicles tend to represent ideas on the real side, so the creator of the particular idea will be driving the vehicle, and those present also within the car will then be in agreement with the idea that the car represents. The dynamic that existed between these two characters very apparent here. Driver Joanee calls the shots, creates the ideas. Harold obediently agrees and follows. My real awareness impressions revealed that Joanee and Harold were seeking a particular human female. The specifics regarding this target wasn't made apparent, only that the one they sought was a particular thorn in their sides, so to speak, a stepping up individual and perhaps a former Eckankar member that, as I said earlier, through association and agreement therefore to Joanee and Harry, that was as yet unreleased, so were Joanee and Harry able to hound, pester, and intimidate this female. For with every former Ek member who leaves, that recognizes the corruption it has become, so these present as witness testimonials that can further expose the dark force reptilian distortion that Eckankar has become. Naturally then, Joanee would seek to silence such witnesses by any means necessary. What can happen when individuals first step up and are somewhat vulnerable through the agreements in relation to others as yet unreleased, as the process of agreement facing and releasing will take the moments it will, and at the initial stages, so will there be a complete consciousness of idea agreements and attachments to face and release, is that the guides then will afford protection to the newly stepping up individuals, along the lines of rendering them inaccessible to any being of an ill-intended nature on the real side. And this would be the case here with the very likely former Ek member, with Joanee and Harold attempting to locate her, cruising through various streets in their car. The only recourse available to them was to then kidnap, detain, and interrogate anyone who had had any association with the female they sought. A workable strategy, physical level-wise, but on the real side, as association is an open door, experience-wise with others, so through those associated with this female they sought, could Joanee and Harold potentially have access to her also, if those they kidnapped agreed to surrender her position, to allow themselves to be the agreement conduit through which the guide concealed female could be accessed. Impressions revealed that although, as I said, I never have had affiliation with Eckankar, and so lacked the agreements also with the membership, past or present, including then this particular former Ek female, I would not have presented as an agreement conduit, but for the fact that I once had in fact an association with the very female they sought, an agreement with her, but one not through a shared religious or spiritual idea, but more a relationship attachment idea that had been forged many lifetimes ago. And so I was a viable kidnapping target as far as Joanee was concerned, along with any other beings who also had an agreement link with this female. In the real side experiences, unless agreements as yet unreleased dictate adversity of a situation, or those momentarily forged through where our focus and attention was acclaimed as it was here, although we can at any moment release them as we recognize what they are effecting, we then are more in a conscious position as to what we decide to experience or not. And many times we will go through with certain experiences, as every experience presents a further viewpoint comparison to recognize the years by, and as opportunity to share the years, to get the attention and focus of even the dark forces on what we are doing and what we are about. And at any moment in the experiences, those we choose to go through, so can the agreement be severed and extraction from the situations be so, regardless of how deep the waters we find ourselves in. And so, with all that being considered, I would decide to present myself to Joanee and Harry to allow my capture, for as I had no agreements in my consciousness that allowed they could do anything to me unless I consciously decided, so it was a case of my permitting that they apprehend me, and the experience then would unfold as it would, with my ability to at any moment withdraw from the experience by releasing the conscious agreement that effected it. It would take a few moments for Joanee and Harry to even see me, despite my standing very blatantly in full view of them as they cruised past me several times, both staring out their respective opened windows in search of me. A testament to their general lack of awareness, I would surmise, as I seemed to have to lessen my creational position, that I would be within their limited awareness perceptual range. But eventually they would see me and bring their vehicle to a halt beside where I was standing. They would proclaim their intentions, that of apprehending me, that I would surrender the female's location, as they were aware of my past lifetime affiliation with her, and therefore the conduit to her that I could provide. As I said, I allowed this charade to proceed, and Harry would exit the vehicle, drugging or injecting me in some fashion, reminding me of the experience Jeremy shared, where Harry attempted to inject him with a syringe. I would pass into unconsciousness through whatever Harry had administered, and awake in a kind of interrogation room. Present also would be Harry and Joanee. They would be utilizing some kind of mechanical torture device. My thumbs were locked into the contraption, and they would proceed to ask as to the whereabouts of the female. Every time they asked, and every time I promptly refused to provide them the means of accessing her through my agreement link I had with her, so would the device activate and cut off a section of each of my two thumbs. This would continue for a time until I had very little of my thumbs remaining, and in their absence would my fingers be severed next. This wasn't going anywhere other than revealing the intent currently of Harry and Joanee as to the acquisition of the female former Eckankar member, and the lengths they were prepared to go to that her location be disclosed. That yes, I had consciously allowed this to take place, and the torture to be so, but others that have agreement attachments with Eckankar, Harry and Joanee as yet unreleased, and especially in regards to agreements that would allow Harry and Joanee to abuse or harm them, so this would serve as a heads-up warning as to this particular potential situation others may face. As I said, no agreements did I have that allowed these two characters to do anything to me unless I consciously permitted it, as I had decided to go along with this to see where it may lead, but with nothing further to be gained by allowing my torture to continue, I severed the agreement that effected the situation and was extracted from it. I would find myself now with an individual that impressions revealed was a real guide, and was as though giving him a report of the situation I had just been through, although of course the guides are aware of everything transpiring in creation. I would reveal what had been my absent and severed thumbs. Both were restored, but for 2 small scars at the base of each, as though the last vestige of that which was effected from my chosen experience, and very likely would soon fade also. In the scene that followed, I would be shown an update on the progress of a race of bipedal animal body forms. Their activities I have been chronicling over a number of previous real-side experiences I have shared. For initially, I would engage with them, posing as one of their kind, as they were a little unsettled by body forms not resembling their own, and through my dealings with them, so practically the entire planet of this particular species would decide to step up, become more aware, and as they were a technological, space-faring race, so they would deploy their space fleet to connect with and make contact with all receptive species and their respective home worlds, in their bid to share the new sound true reality connection and the is pertaining references. On the real side are established UNUversal UNUversities, where all those stepping up and sincere congregate, share their experiences, insights, support each other with their awareness processes, and where many life and awareness benefiting assignments are launched from. Overseeing these true reality UNUversities are the various real guides and other beings who have the awareness that they are entrusted with the responsibilities of being in the capacities of teachers, if you will, but more so is reference providers, as a more apt term. As I said, a guide-managed, real awareness-supporting setup, open to all beings and body types, assuming their intent is real and with the ears. And as I would now visit one of the many multi-dimensional real UNUversities operating on the real side, present also would be a number of these very bipedal animal body forms from the planet where the real purpose had been embraced by all, and was being interdimensionally shared and delivered via their space fleet. There was a class in a session, a very aware being orchestrating proceedings. He appeared humanoid, but was possessing of a form that I have seen and shared before, one that seems favoured by especially aware beings, that of a constantly in flux form of a golden light. I would be attending the class, catching up with some of the bipedal animal species and their progress, awareness speaking, as in attendance would be several of the wolf-like bipedal animal forms, felines and lizards, the general animal-like forms that their species comprise of, though there were other variations also. In a number of real-side experiences I have shared recently, have I been picking up inadvertently certain agreements, as though a mud that clings to one's shoes as I go about my business, and as I identify such, many of which would have effected unfavourable circumstances in regards especially to my physical body and health. So I ensure these agreements are released and the untoward physical level body form impacting ramifications avoided. A particular type of adverse agreement picked up, recognized and released, has been of a nature that, if not removed, would result in physical level alterations to my physical form, as though a mutation effect that could potentially bring about a complete biological physical body form change. And it seems that my activities during this real side night of experiences had resulted in another agreement attaching of a similar potential physical body form changing effect. Present also in the class with the bipedal animal new students would be a former school associate called Keith, that in actuality every time Keith features on the real side, impressions reveal it is a guide assuming his form, as it was here in this experience at the UNUversity. Keith, the guide, would draw my attention to my human form already in the transitionary process of transformation to something completely different. That yes, all body types are just vehicles for experiencing is recognizing creational comparisons from, but certainly some body types would be more advantageous over others, and what I was becoming would be an actual physical level body form alteration, and of such a monstrous design as to be impractical, or in the very least would draw unnecessary attention. Hard would it be to continue with my physical level activities if my monstrous assumed form was hunted by Mexicans with burning torches and pitchforks, for example. For indeed, all my teeth had fallen out, replaced with a set of larger and razor-sharp fangs, my body sprouting thick, coarse hair, and I felt rather disorientated and ill additionally. The guide also pointed out that my form was contagious, in that, were I to assume such a body type on the physical, proximity alone would have other humans equally transformed, and so rather prudent was it to have the agreement that which had attached during my earlier real side activities removed, as the other bipedal animal species students and the golden glowing teacher being watched on, intrigued and fascinated, as ultimately I would have to decide the release of the agreement to prevent its physical level body form altering affliction. I would do so, the agreement severed, and ensuring my physical level form as human was retained, and encouraging was it to see the continued progress and real intent with the bipedal animal species, many of them not only spreading the new you throughout creation, but featuring in the real side UNUversal UNUversities also.
Okay, wow, Kevin. Another great movie, yes, and that says it all. Yes, Joanee and Harry are always around. They've bothered me for years. They don't like what we're doing. Well, that's too bad. So we want to keep reminding them that these sunny pictures that we create are to warn them and also others, because they're going to be in darkness with the Queen of Orion if they don't hurry up and wake up. So it takes a while to do that and get through all the nonsense that we've collected, because they're very attached to their silliness. So we're trying to help them, and they're resisting. So they want to be arrogant and resistant. That's their choice, but the end result is they will be with the Queen of Orion in blackness, where they cannot create till they start over in a new creation bubble. So we're actually here to help everyone. Yes, that's terrific, Kevin. Yeah, you got a lot to do, a lot of videos, whatever. We're giving it to the world. Thank you so much. You're the great witness.